Oh, our wonderful snow. Don't we love it so much? Not really, but we're gonna have to deal with it for a good while, I'd say. But we want to keep making progress on projects. And so right there is one that I would like to finish up. And we're gonna get started right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, Ross the Oliver Man. We worked on that tail light on that Deere, and sadness occurred, you know, in the form of, well, we busted one, we busted part of that bracket, so it's never going to be right again because they're made of aluminum, you see, and thusly we didn't have the correct parts to make our combination tail light and whatever work. It just didn't do the thing, friends. And I'm looking over my handiwork here to see how I did what I did, and it ain't going the way that I wanted it to go. So yeah, one of these is supposed to be, so I'm going down the rabbit hole now, because instead of doing what, you know, you really want me to be doing, I'm doing something else. I'm trying to determine how I'm gonna go about that, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just cut the wire at the fender there, and then we'll go from there and do what we got to do to get over here. But that's a problem for in a minute. Let me show you what I got so far. So here is our new wonderful bracket. They're made of aluminum. I found an original. You could still get them from the Deere store, but they were like $85, and I don't know if they'll look that way or not, so I went this route. Then I was fortunate enough to find this, which is another one of these lights, and I think I'm going to go with this one instead of the one I got, just because this is loose, and looking at that one, I'm not sure that it's ever going to come loose again, because it sat open for so long. I'm afraid stuff has got down in there and it's rusted. We can try it. I mean, we're going to save it. It's not like we're going to throw it away, but that's where we are. So the thing is, of what I have done here, is I have it hooked up where it's hooked up to the, what do I want to say? It's hooked up to the white light, and then I also have a ground wire, which is not going to do us in this case. So this one should be the headlight wire from that fender, because pink is headlights. This blue one should be the one from back there. But see, then I was a dum-dum and I taped them all together because I thought, hey, we're going to make it super nice. But we're not going to make it super nice, you know. We're going to end up having some struggle buses issues. Now what I could do is pull all that tape off of there and then redo it, which maybe, thinking about it now, maybe I'll just go ahead and do that. We'll have to cut the ground wire though, because we're going to need a spade to be able to plug in this wire, which should be our red light when we're done. Had I known the way that I was going to go about this, maybe I would have went about it differently, but I also didn't know how long it was going to take to get anything. And then we're going to have the struggle bus of cold weather like this. Electrical tape just does not play nicely. It likes to fight and cause many struggles. And I taped that up really, really good. I thought that I could undo that problem, but it doesn't look like that's going to be possible, because what probably happened is I started here and went that way. And so we're not going to get the thing. But that's okay, friends. What I think I'll do is just abandon ship on those wires, and we'll just make us, we'll get us 2 new wires. See, eventually we're going to make the fenders nice, and we're going to get the right stuff that it's supposed to have, and life is going to be grand. But for now, I'm thinking we ain't out nothing with this wire. We'll just get a couple more and feed in there and be done with it. Doesn't that make sense to everybody? Good. I'm glad it does. Thank you for agreeing with me. Today's project is going to be simply just getting by, making this work, so we don't have to struggle bus it all the time, because that's just how she goes. I wanted to peel this back enough that I could see which 2 wires were the 2, if that makes sense, and it probably doesn't. There we go. Okay, maybe we're going to get it after all. Yeah, see? So, I think what we're going to do, though, is just start over, aren't we? This is kind of important because I have to do this before, how do I put that? We have to do it before we, I don't know how to explain what I'm saying. Let's just go with this. Let's just unwrap this. Stupid. No. Alright. Now at least we know what we got. I'm still going to cut it on the other end. I don't care. That's not really good wire. That's wire we recycled, if you recall, from that trailer project. So if we waste a little bit of it, oh well. That's okay. But if you could see in there magically, what you would see is that the wire is actually, how do I want to say? It goes up through there, and so we got it, well, when we're done with this and we assemble our new light, we're going to have the wire already out, enough to get out of the fender. And that's how she's going to be. So, for now, since it's not working anyway, I'm just going to cut it right there. And we'll make a new something or other. We'll determine how we're going to do this. Because like I said, when we do this for real someday, with the nice repaired fenders and whatever, then we'll redo the wiring yet again. And have something to be proud of. Come up out of there. There. Now, what we will probably have to do before we put this back together. See, I had run a ground wire all the way up, and it's very possible, now looking at it, I might have room for 3 wires in there that we could still run a ground up, but I don't know. We just have to see what we get ourselves into. What I might do is leave 2 stranded wires as the 2 hots, and then feed a 3rd one down manually as the ground, which is fine. We can figure that out later. But now we have essentially disconnected that without affecting any headlights, see? Because those actually work. So we need those to see where we're going forward. And we have to remember, this is a brand new bulb, so we want to save it, keep it nice. It's a brand new rubber ring, so we need that. That's what we're doing. We're gathering pieces that we need, and then we'll work on this in the house and get it all assembled, and then we'll put this on. You know, we'll determine how we're going to do it, what we're going to do here, and we'll make it happen. But baby steps, friends, you know. We just gotta make some progress. And the first progress we're gonna make is, I think I'm gonna clean this up and give it another coat of gloss black so that it's super nice. We also need to pull out that red wire, which let's try that here, because if we can't get that pulled out for some reason. No, okay, we did really easily. We didn't want to struggle bus. But see, there is not much room. If you can see through there, probably not. There you go. There's just not a whole lot of room in there for feeding of wires, but, and then see, this one is obviously a headlight because it's got a pink wire, and it's now going to become a combination tail light. So there'll be 2 wires through that hole. One of them, you will see when we get to this assembly process, one will have a, it's going to go to the terminal on the light bulb, and then the other one is going to go to another light bulb that's behind the first light bulb, and that one actually is going to clip to the ground side of the light bulb along with this wire, and then that's how she goes, friends. It doesn't seem like it would work, but it does. And that was our holdup last time. I ordered the parts from the Deere store, and it came in the right package with the right part number, but it's not the right part. They have superseded, and it would not work without a bunch of bending and whatever. So we ain't having that. We're gonna make her the right way. So anyway, we will work on this here in a minute, but I'm going to firstly, I think, wire wheel it up and get it nice and clean where it's ready to go, and then we will, you know, work on it as we can. Well, let's work on our light. We have the table totally covered with everything else that's not that, but you know, we're making do the best we can, friends. I have all my other stuff scattered out that I've been cooking. The customer will be happy to know that his carburetor, I got the nozzle to screw in, so as soon as he provides me with that lower seat, we'll be able to proceed on that project. This we'll talk about later. I don't want to give away all the secrets. There's a little more sadness, but I think we can deal with it. These locks off the 1250A, 2 of them I've got totally disassembled. 2 are gonna have to be heated with torch because they won't budge at all. And we will get that, and then that project will be under control. But that takes us to our light. Let's just, we could put stuff away, but you know, isn't it just easier to just keep working around it and moving it all over and suffering, you know, like we normally do. All right, here is our original light that we just removed from the fender, and I'm wondering because I should have taken it upstairs and left it lay near the furnace grate so that it would be nice and toasty, because right now it's not, as we can see, and that makes the rubber harder to get loose. Well, let's get this off of there. I've got too much stuff in my way here. There we go. All right, now this bulb was our placeholder bulb that we just put in there because I thought we'd have a rear floodlight, but it turns out that we weren't getting a good enough ground, so it never got to do the thing. Isn't that sad? It didn't get its day in the sun. So that's the end of that. All right, but this is a good bulb is the moral of my story, so we want to be gentle with it and set it down somewhere where it's going to be, you know, we can use it for the future. The only part of this rig that we need is this rubber ring because it's brand new. So we're gonna fold her off of there. Like I said, if I would have put it in the heated up area, it probably would have done better. Now, we can see how that is. At least I was hoping we could. Compare and contrast. Here is our new one that we're going to use, only because all of this is loose. We could try to get that one loose on here, but I don't know. I got this one, so why don't we just go with this one and we'll make it the best that we can. There we go. Oh. Well, I knocked you over. I was hoping that yeah. Because we need, that washer goes underneath. Yeah. Okay. So if we want to assemble these two things just like they are, then we need to do this. And I'm also wondering, I bet we're not going to get a good ground if I don't scuff up some of this stuff. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet on that. But we'll probably be taking this loose again, is what I'm saying, when we get out there and try to put it on the tractor, because so far our luck has not been great on this project. But what I should have when I'm done is two things that look very similar. Do those look similar? It's kind of an optical illusion almost, but yeah. Those are going to be what we need. Are they about the same amount? I think this needs to move a little bit. I'm trying to match what's there. We will be able to change the angle of this when it's on there, but you can't take it totally off because the wires go all the way through. And the way that they did their wires is it was one piece all the way from here down through the fender. So there wasn't no, how do you want to say? There wasn't like a disconnect here where a guy could do anything about it. Oh, also, I did and didn't do it on film and probably should have just because everybody could see. But I used those new thread chasers that a viewer sent me. And I cleaned out all of the... I cleaned out these holes. Now they don't look like it when you turn them in by hand, but it did happen. I promise you. Although maybe the trouble here is this bolt. This is the bolt that was still on the tractor, and I bet I didn't clean it out good, but we're going to counteract that by just jamming it right into that aluminum. That can't be bad for it, right? But I cleaned out the holes in the bracket. Is the moral of the story. Let me give some off-camera treatment to this bolt in the form of wire wheeling. Sure. All right. I think that's going to do the thing that we want it to do. Okay. Our basic assembly then is ready. Should we put the rubber ring on now? Probably yes, only because it is a trick, friends. And it'll be a lot easier to do it right now than it will be to do it later, so sure. Actually, what would have been easier is if I had done this before I put it on the bracket. I'm realizing this now. Okay. We're going to start again. Oh. I might have also realized something else I didn't know. And that would make sense why I had so much trouble on some of them. I bet there is a rubber cutout right there. And that rubber ring needs to be on there the certain way, maybe? It fits better. I bet that's what it was. Oh my goodness, I really hope this works because this is costing a lot of money and time. All right, now where are we? Well, we're gonna need this, and I think we should clean that up a little bit. See if we can do it this way. Our very worn out sure. All right. Now that is our ground. And they chose to ground it to the back of the light housing, you know, instead of running a wire down through somewhere, which makes it kind of difficult for us later on, but that's okay. So now we better get us some wire fed through there, and I think we're going to do that with this, and I think we're going to do it with pulling off the green and having 3 strands instead of 4. Let's see if this will go up through there. I don't think it will, but I actually don't need it to, dummy. I was going to take the ground loose too, and it's going to stop at the fender. But we're gonna hope we can get these 2 up in there, because we kind of got to have 2. All right, let's pull that back a little bit. We need enough of this that we can tie it in a knot. We're probably gonna have to have extra so I can physically do that, and then we'll cut off the excess, because it doesn't look like I'm gonna make this happen very good. There we go. The reason they do that is so it doesn't pull back through. Okay, you get that? Okay, now one of these wires is going to be our well, you'll see in a minute, and I don't really know how we're going to do that yet. Let me get this out first. So this is our very expensive, unnecessarily so, red bulb. It's a white floodlight bulb, silver reflector, but the back of it they have tinted red, and then inside they didn't color a circle of the reflector. So this red will shine through when a light bulb is applied to the back of said thing, and that's how it works as a combo light. However, they made a terrible error here. Somewhere along life's way, they have changed the design of this, although they kept the same part number, and that's not going to work because it's supposed to clip on there and hang down. And so I went on the old internet machine and I found an old one, new old stock, if I can get that out of there. And I wonder if it's the same, is it the same bulb? It probably is. Let's see here, come on, bulb, yep. Okay, now what this does, it's been in such a way, and I have to figure out what way it is, but one way, I think it's that way it's gonna go. It's gonna clip to the screw, and it's gonna be right in front of that hole. And that to me looks like about the only way that that's possible, because that's way out there, that won't work. So if you still don't understand that, let me put it on there and then you will in a minute. So the light, a light has to have a ground and a hot to work. And so what we got going here is, well, we got a screw lost. No, let's get this started back again. This light fixture is mounting using its ground, and then the other thing, the other light, the white light part, is going to get, the ground wire is going to go on there too, is what I'm trying to say, because then both lights are getting a ground with the ground wire by doing it this way. And it's struggle busing us, of course. Why wouldn't it? We're going to run out of room quickly here while we're doing this. There we go. All right, look at that. Combo light. And it's thin enough, it should all fit in there, I hope. Maybe it's not going to. Maybe this is a colossal failure. But we'll never know that until we try. Now for our other things, we need one to go here. And then we're going to need one to connect these two. And for that, I decided, well, we're gonna do spade terminal style on that one. So let's pick the brown wire. It's gonna be our new thing here. So we're gonna replace this end with sadness. Well, sadness will come naturally. We don't have to physically install the sadness. It just happens on its own. There we go. But it's going to get this. Oh, this one doesn't have a crimper. Shoot. I think we can get it with that. That's not going nowhere. That's the standard thing you say when you don't want things to come loose. Come on. See, the basement tools are not necessarily the best or most complete set of tools, but they take care of getting the job done for the most part. Come on. There we go. All right. So now these two are going to magically plug together. And we're going to have to figure out a way to... How are we going to tuck all this out of the way so that it doesn't interfere? I think we're going to want to go up. And I think we're going to want to change this to up for that same reason. Because that bulb could get hot and we don't want melting. Now this one's going to get a ring terminal. Only because I don't have forks on hand. And that's okay. I mean, the ring will stay on there better. Let's see here. Inappropriate use of tools. Oh. Well, we did good. We cracked the plastic like we usually do, so. That's not coming off of there. It's just not. Now we're going to put this one on there. Sure would be cool if I had a 12-volt battery down here to test it, wouldn't it? Which I do not. All right. Now with any luck, we should be able to tuck this entire rig into there. Ooh. As such, he says. Actually, no. He wants to put that bulb at the top, dummy. And the reason he wants to do that is because that then the wires that are coming up to power everything are not in the way either. Okay, crisis averted, dum-dum. This is a lot of stuff to keep straight here. We're gonna hope that it doesn't like instantly shatter that little bulb because of trying to get it squeezed in here. Come on. Get in there. Get in there, red bulb. You expensive piece of crap. Get in there. Oh, it's gonna make it. Okay. Get in there. Oh, friends. Look at that. It doesn't look right, does it? It almost looks like it's there. Now it's looking better, more tight. We have a combo light put together, and we are going to try to take this very expensive socket back. I hope they take it back. I should have been nicer to the package. Strangely enough, it already had another guy's name written on it, which makes me think that probably that guy bought it and then realized that it didn't work either. So then he brought it back and complained, and then they sold it to me. And now I'm going to bring it back and complain, and they're going to sell it to the next poor schlub. But that is neither here nor there. All right. I think we're going to... I don't know if we want to... Let's wait and cut this wire when we get there so we can get some idea of how much length it needs. Question mark? Because right now we don't know that thing. Oh, I was going to try to... Let me see if I can do that. I'm running short of terminals, especially this gigantic one, so I'm going to see if I can recycle it. You can do that sometimes, especially when they're just brand new, you know. So let me work on that, and then I will bring you back when we are ready to take this out and put it on the tractor and see if we can't finally get our correct combination of lights. I'm worried about the grounding situation. I'm worried that I'm not going to have a good enough ground, which is frustrating, but that's the way life goes. So we'll see what happens. All right. Out in the frozen tundra. Let's see if we can't make this go. I'm skeptical that it's gonna get a good ground. We're probably gonna be really struggle bussing on that. Let's just put you there for now. Step one, I think, is gonna be to determine how much, well, I can firstly, I guess, feed the wire through the hole, but I would like to determine how much wire I need before I cut this really nice roll of stuff. So what I'm going to do that is work as hard as I can here, struggling the entire way. That's about right. See, what I'm not sure about is, in my configuration with having a ground wire, I don't know if I can leave them stranded together. Oh, great. It'll make sense to you in a minute here when I get done what I'm thinking here. Let's get rid of that. Come on. Let's get that through too. That doesn't need to be in there. That doesn't go. That's gonna go in there. Let's put at least one of these on as a holder so we don't accidentally bust our super nice bulb. I think we need to reposition our light too when we get that far. Temporary mounting. That's what we're doing right now. I just don't want to drop anything, because if I lose hardware in the snow, I ain't finding it back. Alright. Now, whether you can see or not, what I'm going to do is measure how far I need how much wire I need, because actually what I need to do is get to the other side of the tractor now, because I decided, well, I'll explain that too. I don't know. I'm not doing a very good job. Basically, I only had one hot wire ran over to that side. And then the other day we decided not to tape it all up or untape it. So I'm just gonna run a new wire over here. So I gotta make sure I leave enough wire to get to this point, you see. And then when I get that done, then from there, we can feed the wire in the correct way. Yeah, there's better tools than this thing to cut with, but that's what I got handy here, so that's what we're gonna go with. All right. Now, this is my leftover good wire that I can save for other stuff, other activities. We will come back to that end and connections in a minute. Right now what we're worried about is not getting impaled by the hay spear. But we're going to, there. Hopefully you'll sit there. Now what we're going to do is try to feed our wire through that channel so that it's not going around the fender. It's just going to go through and through that rust hole for now, but that is what it is. Alright. Will you sit there nice? Step one is green wire delete. We don't need the green wire because we just don't. Oh man, it was when it was warm in the basement, it acted better. Now that I brought it outside, it hasn't even been outside that long, it's starting to trick where the insulation cracks. That's great. So that's out of our hair for now. We don't need that. Next test is going to be, will 3 wires fit side by side down in there? And they will, which is real handy for us because that makes it nice and we don't have to struggle bus. And we like that. Except for one thing, I did it wrong. I should have done it the other direction. And you're going to say, what are you talking about, you idiot? That doesn't matter. It does kind of matter. Then the wire doesn't have to be twisted. So let's try it this way. Let's try it this way. Is that going to work? Oh, you know what else I did wrong? Anybody see the thing I did wrong? That was a practice run. I need to go this way. That's fine. I am not a Deere mechanic. I'm not much of a mechanic anyway, so it doesn't matter. Let's get this all pulled through. Such a way come on. Okay, we're struggling. That's okay. Alright. Now, good deal. That's what we want, believe it or not. And what we're going to do then is put our ground wire on one of these, hopefully. Another thing you're going to want to do is not forget to struggle along every step of the way so that it's the most difficult possible, because why would we want this to be easy when it could be the most difficult possible. Then what we're going to want to do is tighten this, again, in the most difficult way possible. Make sure you don't have exactly the right size tool. That way you'll struggle a little bit harder than you need to. You know? That's what I got going here. Got a 14 millimeter instead of a 9/16. There's one side. Let's tighten this side. And let's hope that this whole rig will actually get a ground. That's going to break that new one. I can tell you that now. Is that in there? I'm getting quite frustrated with the struggle. All right. Let's back away slowly while everything is working. We got her mounted. Let's go make our wiring connections and see what we come up with. I didn't bring a butt connector, so I'm probably gonna have to do that to tap into the ground situation of this cluster of sadness of wiring that I have here. Also, what did I do with... I was very careful to bring along those two little spade terminals that we were going to need. And now it appears that I have just totally lost them. So that's excellent, you know. That's what we wanted. We didn't want success in any way, shape, or form. They're not there. Oh, I know where they are. There we go. We had a slight fart of the brain. Be real handy if you'd stay where I put you. Okay. Now, let's get the wiring over to here. That's working great. There's plenty of wire. We don't have any, right now we don't have any electrical tape. That was dumb of me. But we're doing the best we can, friends, with the stupidity that we have. We're struggling the appropriate amount based on the temperature that it is, because if you can't struggle harder in the cold, are you really doing it right, you know? We got to separate these. We really need them to separate in a nice, pretty way. Okay. Now, this should be straightforward, friends. This should be putting a spade on each one, plugging them into the corresponding thing, and beauty happens, you know. It'd be real cool if I didn't even have to hook the ground up and it would work. Although I very much doubt that we would get that lucky. We did on some of those lights, but not this one, probably not so much. Because we just have too much quit in us here. Let's see. See, then the other thing we'd have to remember is, oh, we do know the answer to that. We could tap into that ground there with a butt connector because that's the one that went there. This goes to the headlight, so that's the other one. So I can actually do this. That goes away. This is our ground. That's in our ground. This one's gonna go to, which one is what? I guess it doesn't matter. We'll start with this. I think this is the one, because that's the one we had hooked up. This one would be the red light. Let's go this way. It covers it better. Let's strip this back, because we're probably going to have to connect these two in a minute. We'll try it without it, just for fun. But are you confused yet? Because I think I did a pretty good job of confusing everyone. All right. Position 1 should be headlights and rear white light. We have nothing, as predicted, friends. So do we have something if I touch these two together? All right, let's investigate that. Still nothing. Still nothing, friends. And you say, why? Well, it's obviously a grounding issue. We got too much stuff with nice paint on it. Oh. Now that's flashing. Why is that flashing? There. There, come on. Almost there. Okay, we need to work that back and forth a few times, 'cause I'm afraid that it's not gonna consistently stay if I don't do something. All right, there's a first. Let's turn the position and see if the red light comes on. Then we'll shut her totally down and we'll see if it even repeats the process or whether. So now that white light should have went off and that red light should be on. And it's not, is it? Or is it? It might be hard to see. I think it is on. Yeah, look at that. Can you see that? We're not in the good position of the sun. But the red tail light is on, friends. That's all you get. If it was dark outside, that'd be all you need. And then, of course, this position is what? Dim lights and that red light. Did that make the red light any more bright because of not using as much electric or something goofy? No. Okay. It's still doing what it's supposed to. Now, we go back to this position here. White light should have come back on. And it did. I don't know if you can see that or not, but trust me, it's on. Now the big test is going to be if I shut her totally off. Let's walk away. Now we just walked up to the tractor. If we turn it back on, does that come on without me fiddling with it? It does. Awesome. White light. Red light. Yep, red light's on. Again, you probably can't see that because of the bright sun, but it's working, friends. It's working for the first time in however many years. It only cost me hundreds of dollars. I mean, a lot to get that stupid thing to work correctly and be the way that it's supposed to be. And then another thing is, you realize these lights are probably brighter than that white light because they have a different beam pattern because of the way that they are. But it's working. So thank goodness. That's wonderful. I am going to have to butt connector that to make that much more pretty and better, because that ain't gonna fly there. But that'll fix that up. And then whenever it's nice weather or temperature or something, I'll try to tape those back together so they don't get ripped off of there. And like I said, this is all a temporary rig until we get our fenders fixed. Then we can make it nicer. Now these wires that I just put on, I can reuse, because what they will do is they will come out at the bottom of the fender, and then the nice wiring harness runs down through here. It's got a plug here for this fender. It goes around, it's got a plug for the rear power outlet, and it goes around, it's got a plug for that fender. So I can just shorten what I made, plug it right into the fender, and life is grand, you see. So I didn't waste effort on some of this, but some of this is going to get thrown away, but that's okay. You know, I can reuse all of this wiring whenever we do that for real, and plug it into the outlet, or the whatchamacallit, on the doodad thingamabob, you know, wiring harness when we get that nice one. That's what's going to happen. But for now, we can call this project officially done, as far as we've got lights in every direction, and they're the way they're supposed to be, and they come on at the correct time that they're supposed to come on. And that has never happened in my entire life of being around this machine. So that's quite the accomplishment, friends, to finally see it all together the way that it should be. So yeah, we'll probably leave this video here, and sometime when it's warm in the summer, we'll tackle taking these fenders off and making them more better, patching, you know, cut out big sections of metal. And some of that looks like crap because it's actually Bondo over top of it that I tried to just plug the hole so that it didn't get any worse. And now whether that was really the thing to do or not, who knows, but it doesn't matter. The point is, these are solid enough yet that I think I can patch them and make them better, as opposed to just buying the Chinesium aftermarket new ones. So anywho's, that is a project for another day, but today the moral of the story is success. So that's where we're going to leave this one. Do you suffer from low intelligence and are easily entertained? Well, then hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment. And that way we can keep making entertainment that your feeble minds can understand. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.